Everyone, so I just finished watching ThegnThrand's response to both my video and a message they received from Lindy Beige, where we talk about the casting blow and the casting blow for both the spear and the sword. And first off, thanks for the video response. It meant a lot. I think that might be the first response or first video response I've gotten. So I guess I'm moving up places now. But onto the actual content. I have to say, they actually did convince me quite a lot. The casting blow with the sword, I actually have a sword here, or a mock-up of one, but obviously. But the casting blow, they seem to be doing it a lot better than I am, so it could just be they're more trained in it or more experienced in it. So they did seem to have quite the control that I didn't expect them to, so that's slightly more negated, although I would still argue you would have more control not doing the casting blow. It was also very effective against armor. I did not expect it to be nearly that effective as it was against the armor they were using. I was quite surprised at just how powerful this blow is. And that being said, I could see it in certain contexts being quite a good blow with the casting with the sword, casting blow with the sword. So certainly for Viking periods and after, where you have armor across the entire body, more or less. A gambeson could be full sleeved, and almost certainly would be full sleeved. Chainmail likewise could go 3/4 sleeves or full sleeves. So something like that, where you do have such power or such more armored opponents, I could definitely see the casting blow working in ways I hadn't seen previously. As for earlier periods where you didn't have quite that much protection, where your gambesons and your mail would perhaps only be half sleeve or shorter, and where you just weren't as armored, I would say control over power. When it's easy when it's easy to work around armor, I would still argue it's better to work around armor. But certainly in situations where you do have much more armored opponents, the casting blows strikes me as quite a good idea now, with the sword anyways. With the spear, yes, I'm still kind of convinced, but only kind of. So one of the things they were talking about was they had a decent amount of control, which perhaps I didn't have just from not using it as much. But also, they talked about how it was good against closed-in opponents. And that convinced me decently on its use. I say decently because I still feel in an open formation, or not an open formation, in an open battle where you have closed formations and you don't have quite as much room to sort of maneuver and stuff because you need to hold the integrity of your formation. I think an overhand or underarm spear would be better. But if you are in a situation where you could get closed in like that and you have the space to maneuver. So, if you're fighting a duel or in any one-on-one context, the overhand spear, and with the overhand spear, the occasional casting blow does make a lot of sense. But again, that's for either smaller engagements or, one-on-one duels. If it was something small, like a small scouting party where you're still fighting relatively on your own, I could see that. But if, you're in a tight shield wall, being able to have a row of spears pointing outwards, almost like pikes in later times, I think that could. I would still put my bet on that being more effective. Certainly, one-on-one duels or situations where the combat is more one-on-one rather than formation on formation. Yes, the overhand spear, the casting blow could be very effective. That does bring in a few other questions, such as, is it good to spend your time, training in sort of both techniques if you're going to use, underarm in formation and overarm on your own? Is it worth the time to train in both, or would it be better to just sort of invest in one and hope in the less ideal situation you can still pull it off? But I think that's going to really come down more to personal choice than anything this way. So, in conclusion, or in response to their response, I guess, yes, I am more favorable towards their ideas, although I think I'm probably still going to stick with underhand spear and non-casting blow. But again, that depends sort of on how much armor is at the time period you're looking on, and just sort of personal choice. So if it is personal choice, I'm still choosing against that, but I'm not, quite as set against it as being a bad move as I was before. So did they convince me? Kind of, although, as I said, I'm still going to stick with my techniques, at least for time being. And I would still love to see more examples of this in sort of mock combat styles. Of course, when, with what they were doing, where you're using, a sort of, sharpened weapons and such, that's probably, not a good idea, just, safety first and all that. But I would love to see either them or if any watchers of this happen to be fans of their techniques, I would love to be able to see more interactions of people, with perhaps padded weapons or just, more protection on the person. I would love to be able to see, these techniques being used in more sort of combat situations rather than just sort of field tests, I guess would be the best way to describe what ThegnThrand are doing now. So yes, I'm kind of convinced, although I would love to see more practical use, more use of, two people, in nice, safe situations going at each other. I'd love to see more of that. But yes, his response was very good, and so were many of his points. Thanks for watching.